Hi everyone, Becky here. What I want to think about in this video is argumentative writing. Why? I'm thinking about taking the HSK 7-9 exam, and argumentative writing can come up on that exam. Well, I shouldn't say can, it does come up on that exam. So one thing that is a bit of a challenge for me is that I do not know the marking scheme. I do not know how these essays are going to be marked. The other thing is, I grew up in Australia, and there really is a different way of thinking about writing. In particular, originality is quite a big difference. Like if you're writing an argumentative essay in Australia, you probably would want a lot of original thought and so on. However, the attitude in China seems to be a bit different, and more you want to mimic Fanwen. So preparing for HSK 7-9 exam, what should I do? The thing is, the HSK 7-9 exam is new, and there's a lot of I don't knows. I do not know exactly what they're looking for in an essay. What I do know is almost certainly whoever marks my essay has likely gone through the Chinese education system and probably has encountered a book similar to this one relating to argumentative writing. So this is Gaozhong Yuan. So this is argumentative writing for high school students. This is for native speakers. Right. So yeah, so we have these like examples and just the general outline. Right. Audio, video. All right, you can scan that if you like. I don't know what it's going to do. Oh, okay, so here. So I flicked through this book. I bought this book on Jingdong. These things are not expensive. It's just that the concern is more about whether or not they're useful. You can buy all sorts of things. They're not expensive, but are they useful? We'll find out. Let's see what we've got here. Because flicking through the book, they usually point out you want this, these three things, but also 论题. So 论点, 论据, 论证. I'm not entirely sure what this is. 论据, evidence, and this is going from the evidence to your conclusion, the argumentation. I don't know what 论点 is. Maybe it's stipulating your point of view exactly. But they also talk about 论题. 论题 is like a clear-cut description of your what you're going to argue for. I remember having italki teachers in the past, or at least one in the past, who emphasized that I should not have a neutral, well-balanced point of view. I probably should have a very concrete point of view that I'm arguing for. Again, yeah, a bit of a culture difference. Like, I would not be, if my point of view was neutral and multifaceted, etc., I would generally argue for that in Australia. But we need to follow these standards if we're going to do it. If we're going to take the HSK 7-9. All right. 议论文入门4步法. So 4 steps. There's 4 things we need to do. All right. 议论文是贯穿中高语文写作的重要文体。一篇优秀的议论文，要能够清晰地表达观点，并进行严密的论证。然而，在初次写作议论文时，许多学生常常感到无从下手。This is like, don't know what to do, don't know where to start kind of thing. 或以序代意， not sure what that means. Maybe it's more narrative than argumentative. 导致文体不明或堆砌对吗？堆砌论据，从而缺乏深度。基于此，本书提出了议论文入门四步法，帮助学生系统掌握议论文的写作技巧，轻松掌握议论文写作入门方法。Alright, that's just a very simple introduction. They're the obvious things. But they're going to introduce this 四步法. That's the important bit. 议论文是什么? I think we know what an 议论文. I might skip this, but let's have a quick read. 议论文是一种以议论为主要表达方式的文体，其核心是通过摆事实，讲道理，阐明作者对某一问题的观点，并说服读者接受这一观点。议论文的本质在于以理服人。Do you know in Genshin Impact there is a weapon called the debate club? It's the weapon you don't want to pull when you're wishing. This is the Chinese name for that weapon. 以理服人. The English name is a pun. The debate club is an actual club. You hit people. But debate club in English is a group of people who like to practice their argumentation. 他要求作者具备清晰的逻辑思维、丰富的论据积累和严谨的论证能力，无论是社会热点、文化现象，还是人们哲理，都可以成为议论文的讨论对象。Nothing exciting. 议论文的价值不仅在于传递观点，更在于培养人的理性思考能力。学生围绕中心论点展开论证时，需要通过分论点、论据和逻辑链条的有机组合构建出严密的论证体系，并且要从不同的角度看待事物，认识到事物的两面性以及事物之间的相互联系和相互转化，用全面的、联系的、发展的观点来分析问题，从而培养其理性思考的能力。Alright, that's a lot of fancy words. What did it say? It's just you're using this to, I don't know, express yourself appropriately, blah, blah, blah. Nothing you don't already know. Alright, 议论文的三要素 The three elements of argumentative writing. 一篇完整的议论文通常包括论点、论据、论证三个要素。Alright, so these are the three important elements. Okay, 论点，是作者对论题的看法或主张，通常以明确的陈述句呈现。论点是议论文的灵魂。同名全文的内容和结构。论点又可分为中心论点和分论点。分论点 will be like partial 论点 partial point of view. So like maybe maybe like a sub point of view or something like this. 中心论点是全文的核心观点，分论点则是支撑中心论点的分支观点。 No, it's not exactly what I was thinking, was it? 分论点. So it's kind of like you want to argue this point, you have this argumentation, and along the way you want to argue this point because this point supports this argument. So you've got to kind of have it is sort of a sub-argumentation, I guess. Anyway, 论据是用来支持论点的依据，包括事实论据，如生活事例、统计数据、历史事件和道理论据，如名言、原理、定律。选择的论据需确保与论点紧密贴合。Right. So yeah, we kind of understand 论点 is like what you want to argue for, or maybe it's like the argumentation. The soul. The 论据 is more obvious, right? It's like, what is your justification for your point of view? Right. So obviously, if I'm taking an exam, I'm not going to be able to quote statistics. Yeah, like I might be able to quote Confucius or something like this. Something like that might work, but that would require me memorizing Confucius, and I have not done so. Yeah, 名言. Yeah, just like government statistics or something like this, I'm not going to be able to come up with during an exam, even though it could very well support my argument. Maybe I could still mention them and just say off the top of my head, I do not know what the statistics are, but I'm pretty sure they're in this ballpark. I don't know. I don't know if that's legit. Probably it's not in writing. 论证 OK 是运用论据证明论点的过程. Alright, so 论点 is where you want to arrive at. 论证 is the process of argumentation going from 论据 to 论点. Alright. 通过逻辑推理揭示论据与论点之间的内在联系。论证是否严谨直接决定了文章说服力的强弱。常见的论证方法有举例论证、类比论证、对比论证和比喻论证等。Alright. So it's persuasiveness, 严谨. So the persuasiveness is tied to the rigor of the argumentation. Something in that ballpark. Here are the 4 steps. All right. 4步法. 议论文入门4步法. Okay, 第一步确定论题要清晰. So this one, I introduced this, 论题. So it's not just we're discussing this, it is a concrete goal that the argumentation is going to follow. 论题是议论文的根基 basis. Alright. 一个准确的论题要在题目的规定范围、核心概念和意图之内，确保文章不跑题、不偏题。Right. So you want to state your claim at the start, and then the remainder of the article is within those constraints. We're not going off topic. 确定议论时，我们需要遵循以下 3个大原则，整体把握材料，避免片面解读，细化大话题，细化so this is like 大话题. So you got a major problem and you're focusing on finer details, I guess. Zooming in on certain aspects, maybe systematically. 聚集具体方向，深入挖掘。有表及里，探体质，探本质。此外，还可综合运用关键词句法，主旨提炼法，明确，褒贬法，等方法技巧，确保论题贴合，材料且具有可论证性。So it's emphasizing, yeah, you want to put the keywords in there, you want to put the 主宰, just the main gist, so that the reader knows immediately exactly what the rest of the article is going to do. 褒贬法. So it's like you're clarifying whether or not you have a positive or negative attitude towards something. Yeah, I don't know. The rest is not essential. 第二步，提出论点，要直接。All right, directness. 论点是议论文的核心。议论文讲求开门见山. Do you know this 成语? I like this 成语. It's one of my favorite 成语 because it uses so simple characters. 开门见山. So it's kind of like in English you say straight to the point. 开门见山. So the author is arguing that we should 开门见山, get straight to the point. So you open the door, there's the mountain. Let's go to the mountain. Open the door, there's the mountain. 即文章的论点必须清晰鲜明，毫不含糊的呈现出来。读者读完文章，手段要能立刻明白作者的主张是什么。Yeah. So maybe that ties in with what they were saying before, is students become a bit narrative in their writing, whereas this is argumentative, and it's like, no, you're not like having secrets and so on. You don't have plot twists and that sort of thing. It's argumentative writing. Right. 提出中心论点的方法多样。Sorry, my coffee is putting a shadow on the book. I'll put it there. Let me read it again. 提出中心论点的方法多样，如试题入篇法。What do you reckon that means? I'm not sure. 引材入篇法。I'm not sure. 提出的分论点则需紧扣中心论点，或多点并行，或层层递进，或正反对立，确保逻辑清晰，层次分明。All right. So the author is describing a whole bunch of methods of 论点. So these are methods for describing your point of view. So this is like just say it or something. This is there's multiple parallel points of view. This one layer by layer. I'm not sure. 正反对立, the complete opposite. So you see that kind of style, I think, in a lot of essays. Most people think X, but not X is true. Something like that. All right. So we've got 论题, 论点. Next is 论据, evidence. 论据是支撑论点的基石。选择论据时需注重新颖性 novelty. Really? It's novelty in evidence, not novelty in writing. 典型性. Yeah, this is more what I would think. Like classicalness. I don't know. What do you call this in English? 真实性 truthiness. 针对性 targetedness 和贴合性 I don't know closeness 避免堆砌和牵强附会 I'm not entirely sure what that means, but it's like you just want to avoid the somewhat irrelevant evidence. You just want the primary evidence. 运用论据时，可巧妙运用同类组合、正反对比、追根溯源等方法。So I'm not entirely sure what 同类组合 means. 组合 is combination, so you're taking like combinations of similar types of evidence. 正反对比 comparing X with not X. 追根溯源 trace it back to the source. Like the motive, maybe the argument for this can be traced back to here, and it was invalid then, so it remains invalid now. Maybe something in that ballpark. Yeah. 既能增强说服力，又能展现思维的深度和广度 depth and breadth. I don't know. These are sort of the generic things you've heard many times over, right? 分析论证要严谨. So the argumentation 严谨, I think it means rigorous here, 严谨, or careful or prudent or something in that ballpark. 论证是连接论点和论据的桥梁. We have a metaphor on our hands. Argumentation is the bridge between evidence and contention. 运用论据证明论点的过程，必须合乎逻辑，合乎情理，能够令人信服的由论据推导出论点，而不能单纯的堆砌材料。Yeah, this one. I think this is what a lot of people don't understand sometimes with argumentation, is that you're probably better off just making one point and making it very strong rather than just like, here's a point, here's a point, here's a point, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's just like, all right, well, if remember that Einstein's theory of relativity, and there's like 100 scientists against Einstein, and Einstein's like, well, if I was wrong, you'd only need one. It's very much like that at times. 无论采用哪种论证方法，都需注重逻辑严密，避免we said this already, right? 牵强附会和泛泛而谈，确保每一处论证都经得起推敲，经得起推敲。Is that 推敲? I mean, literally it means knock on a door. No, not on a door. 推敲. No, this is just inference. 经得起推敲. Let's have a look. 推敲。Whoa. I'm not reading that. Deliberate. Think over. Okay. All right. What's it saying down the bottom here? Can you see that? 议论文写作需要长期积累和谨于练笔。So here it's emphasizing the accumulation of experience, I think. 但掌握正确的方法可以事半功倍。事半功倍 is a 成语。So it's like half the work and many times the reward or output, I guess. 本书的议论文入门四步法为学生提供了清晰的写作路径，从确定论题到严谨论证，引导学生逐步写出观点鲜明、论证有力、逻辑严谨的议论文，让学生在语文学习和思维成长的过程中提出语文学科核心素养。All right. So I guess we have to start looking at what. Do I want to keep going into general or I'm not sure. Let's read this, see what comes up. 入门第一步，确定论题要清晰。So this is a clear-cut preposition, postulate. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. 论题, point of argumentation. No, not exactly that. You want the reader to know what you're arguing for. Maybe 论题 is title. Could it be title? I'm not sure. Maybe it is title, like the title of the article. Speaking of title, I don't know if I meant to add a title to the argumentation. Maybe I am. 论题是我们写作时所要议论的问题，是一个有待议论、分析、阐述的命题。一篇议论文写作首先要做的就是发现论题，确定论题，所以论题是议论文的第一要素。Alright, I think maybe it is title or something in the ballpark of title. 比如鲁迅的中国人失掉自信力了吗？译文，他的论题就是非常明确，针对中国人失掉自信力了吗？这个问题，作者点明了自己的观点。I guess 点名 is used figuratively here, right? Or maybe it's not. Anyway, let's move on. 即我们有并不失掉自信力的中国人在，也有谁在 ？Like it just 有谁在 is a grammar structure. So Lu Xun's this article here, by asking this rhetorical question, it's clarifying that the argument or the argumentation in the article is going to be about the existence of Chinese people who are yet to lose their self-confidence. And presumably self-confidence here refers to self-confidence as a Chinese person, or this is in times of war and so on as well. Potentially, I don't know when this was written. 一个准确清晰的论题，能够帮助我们在写作过程中瞄准方向，阻止跑题风险。Yeah, so you have a concrete target. So you choose the title, it's your concrete target. It delineates the scope. If you talk about that, you're off topic. Talk about that, you're off topic. You must stay on topic. 也能让读者在阅读时迅速抓住文章的核心主旨，理解我们的写作立场和意图。若论题模糊，则易导致论证方向偏移和内容空泛。在议论文写作中，确定一个清晰的论题，是提高议论文的质量的重要因素，也是写作成功的关键所在。Alright, so I think it is a title. You're choosing a suitable title. It is important. And it's kind of just making sure you don't go off topic and the reader's expectations are set in a certain way. So it's like, okay, that makes sense. Oh yeah, I agree with everything. 想要确定一个准确清晰的论题，最主要的就是区分开论题与话题两个概念。Okay, so we need to figure out what the difference between 论题 and 话题 is. 话题 is just something you're discussing, right? 话题是一个宽泛的讨论范围，它为写作提供了广阔的空间，而论题则是从话题中提炼出来的。Alright, so this is just what's being discussed. This is refined out of what's being discussed. 具有明确指向性和可论证性的核心命题。So it has direction and 论证proof, I guess. 它能够为文章设定清晰的写作方向和目标，能让我们在写作时围绕一个具体的点展开深入的分析和论证。Alright, let's see these examples. Sorry, 1 second. Alright, you there? Alright, good. Okay, so 话题青春价值 the value of youth. So you want a point of view. So we can discuss this and not have a point of view. 论题 will need to have some sort of, I don't know, point of view, point of argumentation. 青年应当书写怎样的青春so presumably this is a way of saying so when you're young, you should have a youth that involves some kind of writing. Right? That's the point of view. 探索未知 explore the unknown is a topic, but a 论题 is 如何看待对未知领域的探索. So a point of argumentation is how to explore the unknown. Like, yeah. 人工智能 AI. 人工智能对人文教育的影响。So that's not even that argumentative. You're just it's more like informative, really. 文章传承，手工在人工智能时代的价值与意义。Okay, so this is like carrying on culture, and this is 手工. It's a concrete type of culture, handicrafts and that sort of thing, and the value and meaning of it, significance of handicrafts in the era of AI. 劳动价值 the value of labor. 劳动具有塑造外部世界和劳动者自身的双重作用。Okay, so labor has two usages, pla and pla. And the next one, 乡土中国. So this sounds a little figurative to me. Sounds a little bit nostalgic even. 新时代青春怎样对待安土重迁? I don't know. It sounds kind of like yeah, I'm not 100% sure, honestly. Sort of like people are reminiscing about China. Maybe they're going overseas or something like this. Or their hometown, even. Anyway, you get the idea, right? So these are just topics not expressing an actual point of view. It's like saying China versus, I don't know, having a point of view about China. There's quite a difference there, really. But that's, I don't know, fairly obvious, I guess. Okay, what's going on here? 确定论题的三大原则. All right. So let's figure out how to choose a 论题. I think it is a title or something in the ballpark of a title. Can you see that? 所谓扣题. Oh, no, sorry, I need to say 原则一. So this is the first one. 整体把握材料，避免片面解读。所谓扣题是指把握住材料的整体意涵，意蕴，意蕴，也意蕴，不能只扣住材料中的个别字眼。What is it, 字眼? I feel like this is just arguing you need to take a holistic perspective, not just cherry pick, but扣题, stick to the point. All right. 字眼 diction 个别 wording character. Oh, okay, so I think I meant to put this in the context of a student taking the gaokao. You're just repeating what's in the text. 确定论题时，需要全面综合综合的理解。地理 is a thing. It's a word in Chinese, but this is 综合的理解材料。地理 is geography. 抓住材料的核心意蕴，避免断章取义或片面解读。我们需要从整体上把握材料中的各种要素，明确其中蕴含的逻辑关系、价值取向和协作方向。Yeah, I don't know. So this 材料 yeah, I'm not sure what the author of this envisages as 材料. For my exam, you don't really get 材料. It's like I looked at a couple of examples, and they will quote Confucius. They actually translate the Confucius into more modern Chinese. So it is still considered translation from classical Chinese to modern Chinese. So they do give you a translation to work with. they're the examples I've seen. And then you're meant to argue for or against the point. Almost certainly you want to agree with whatever Confucius said. But anyway, 材料. I certainly envisage like a 高考, someone taking the 高考 probably would have like reading material and then come to their particular point of view. And in the real world, outside of exams, you would probably have a whole lot of materials you can consult. So we'll see. All right. 整体把握材料，全面解读材料中的关键词。Okay, so keywords. 理解材料中的逻辑关系 ，understand its logic， 把握材料的价值取向。What is 价值取向？价值 value 取向 like direction. I'm not entirely sure what that means. And 关键材料和题干中的限定条件。So just pay attention to the restrictions, whatever the task is you have at hand. All right. 阅读 blah blah blah. Okay. 材料一 Oh, okay, so is this like a Go-Ko question? Can you see that? I'll make it bigger. All right, so 关键词限定条件 All right. Okay, 材料一耕读传家久诗书记事长 Right, so this is somewhat like what my exam is going to be like if I end up doing it. 我国传统的家庭教育一直非常注重劳动教育 labor education. 宋代叶梦得教导家人黎明即起将与生活有关之家务及学料理，否则今日古代明日，则废是损也。不学不知而家道日好矮 something like that. Okay, so this and this is classical Chinese, Song Dynasty. Yeah, it seems Chinese people don't get a translation into modern Chinese. I'll see if I can find an example. Just 1 second. Right. I found this example. So this is an example from a mock HSK7-9 exam. So you can see we do get the classical Chinese. 近朱者赤，近墨者黑。这句话的意思是，接近好人会使人变好，接近坏人会使人变坏。So you see this, it's classical Chinese, or at least it's Chongyu. But we get a translation. And then 请写一篇600字左右的文章，谈谈你对这句话的认识并论证你的观点。论证 so argument. So we're meant to take this, which has been a little bit explained to us, take a point of view and take some sort of specific concrete point of contention from this, using this as inspiration. Presumably, we want to use this method, 论题、论点、论据、论证. But there's only a certain amount of things you can do while you're locked in a room without access to the internet or anything like this. So yeah, so your evidence is probably going to be personal anecdotes and things like that, not something particularly rigorous. You're not going to be citing academic papers and so on. Right. But yeah, this is very similar to an English one, right? Birds of a feather flock together. So if you hang around with bad influences that kind of have bad influences, and if you surround yourself with people who are interested in golf, you'll become interested in golf or whatever. Yeah. However, maybe this is more narrow because it's 变好,变坏. So it's good influence, good influence. So if you hang around people who study well, yeah. So if I was doing this, maybe I would envisage like school, and if you're hanging around with your friends at school and they happen to study well, you'll probably study well as well. And if they happen to, I don't know, steal, you'll probably start stealing as well. It is a bit like that, but I would say only to a certain extent. Yeah. All right. So it's a little bit similar to these goal call questions, but the goal call questions are like orders of magnitude harder. There's no, yeah, I don't even understand this too much. First of all, I would need to have experienced this kind of 劳动教育, labor education. Yeah, different system in Australia. So 关键词, so you've got to use this. And I do not really understand this or this classical Chinese. 今日孤待明日. Today we're temporarily waiting for tomorrow. 则费事俗念. Fei shi sun ye is like something about waste. 不觉不知. I'm not sure. Something like ignorance, but lack of feeling and knowledge, something like that. 家道日好. 家道日好. Yeah, it's really hard. I feel like if you didn't know what that is in advance, then you can't just infer it. Not unless you've like studied classical Chinese. Okay. So here we've got the keyword labor education, 逻辑关系, 传统新时代. Okay, so we're relating traditional methods, is it? 传统的家庭教育. Okay, so it's saying this is no longer used. 家庭国家. So going from 家庭 to 国家. Where does the jump from to 国家 come from? I'm not sure. 注重劳动教育. All right, let's read the next one, see what it's like. 材料2. 劳动教育是新时代的. Okay. So this is, you get this as well on the goal call. All right, that will make it substantially easier. Okay, 劳动教育是新时代的新要求。2020年7月教育部印发了大中小学劳动教育指导纲要试行，加快构建德智体美劳what 德智体美劳全面培养的教育体系。These are not separate problems, right? So there's the keyword 价值取向，肯定其积极意义。 yeah, so this policy, this trial policy in 2020, I don't know, it does imply there's a positive meaning. All right. 请综合以上材料，谈谈你的认识和思考。It's quite similar to the HSK7-9 exam, isn't it? 要求，选准确度，确定立意，明确文体，字拟标题，不要套作。Yeah, so 套作 you don't have this warning in Australia. 套作 is the memorize a whole article and just write it out as your answer. Yeah, it's just not a thing in Australia, right? Where's the originality? You don't need to be told not to 套作 because you would get 0 for doing so, probably. 不得抄袭 don't plagiarize. All right. I feel like maybe you would encounter that on an exam, but maybe it's more like, duh. 不得泄露个人信息 do not reveal personal information. 不少于800字 Yeah, so the HSK 7-9 is 600, this is 800. 例文件 P121 从事劳动教育培育时代新人 So this is a requirement. You need to summarize the above mentioned information. Yeah. So you're going to need to mention this classical Chinese. You're going to need to mention this particular policy that's been 印发. Maybe that's like drafted or written. I don't think it's being enacted yet. I'm not sure. All right. So you need to summarize and then give your opinion on the value of labor education. Yeah. This would be substantially easier if you understood what labor education means throughout Chinese history. And guess what? I don't. So I would struggle with that. All right, I need to rest 1 second and then we'll continue. Right, so I had a little rest. Where were we? I'm not sure, actually. Okay. 确定论题 here. 确定论题 新时代劳动教育的传承与创新 All right, so this is it is a title. So 新时代 new era. So we want to talk about, was that part of the requirement? Oh, no, 新时代. 新时代, okay. Oh, sorry. Here, it is part of the requirement. 劳动教育 was absolutely going to go there. 传承与创新. So carrying on the tradition and innovations. All right. So this is not stating specifically a point of view. It is more just like outlining a scope, narrowing it down a bit, I guess. All right. 原则2. 细化大话题，确定具体论题. Okay. All right, so this is step 1. We get this, then we're going boom, from this to an even finer, detailed title. All right. 细化大话题是 只将宽泛的宏观话题转化为具体、有针对性的小问题，避免空泛议论，使论述更具深度和现实意义。确定论题需在材料提供的宏观话题下，通过限定范围、聚焦角度等方式提炼出可分析的具体方向。Alright, so essentially it's a high level version of this, but you're able to start analyzing. Let's see what it gives. 阅读下面的材料，根据要求写作。人生是一种担当，敢于担当的人生，书写着伟大。What's this? 休克着。Whoa. What is this? Can you even see that? It's a bit small, isn't it? Not too small from here. Try my best to. I don't want everything to fall over though. What is this? 休克着，璀璨。Yeah, that's alright. 担当是为己、为人、为国的不朽诗篇。So 担当 will be to take on some sort of responsibility, right? 以上材料引发了你怎样的思考？请结合自身实际写一篇文章。Alright, so you're taking on some sort of responsibility. So in relation to yourself, people in general. So this is probably more like representing society and the country. 要求选择角度，确定利益，明确文体，字拟标题，不要套作，不得抄袭，不得啪啪啪。Okay, who cares? Oh, so this is the source, is it? 例文件这个 Oh no, page 41. So they do have this, but later on in the text. All right, so what would be a suitable 论题 here? So we need to go have something concrete and analyzable, and we need to take it from here. So we want something like something testable, I guess. Something analyzable. Whoa. So maybe something like 担当是人生的精髓. Like something like that. It's a little bit abstract. I don't know. Alright, let's see. I don't think it had to be long. In fact, you wanted it concise. Alright, so 细化大话题. So where's their example? Here. 新时代青年如何传承与践行担当精神 spirit of responsibility. All right, so how did you get to this from here? 人生 seems very important, but it's not used. They went to 青年, 新时代青年. I don't know, I didn't mention 青年. Anyway, 如何传承, how to carry on this spirit, no, how to carry on and implement a spirit of 担当. I don't know, what's the English for 担当? Anyway, whatever that is, that's the title. 书写着伟大的 blah 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 担当的意义，担当的内涵，新时代青年。Okay, so 自身学技. So, all right. So this is from a student's perspective who's taking this exam, is that right? Where was that? 结合自身实际. So 自身 from the perspective of a student who's taking a 高考 is a youth. All right. And 新时代 modern youth. All right, what's next? 原则3深入挖掘有表及里谈本质. All right. So this is step 3 to get a title. 很多时候材料表面只呈现一种比喻，一个例子或者是触发思维的引子。对于这类命题，我们写作时应该有表面试行进度有表面试行进到深层意。透过材料表面的具体事例或现象，揭示其深层的精神价值、社会意义或时代提示，避免仅停留在肤浅描述。Basically, understand the metaphors and the more extended meaning. 表象 okay. So metaphor example 引子 is 引子 like extended meaning? 引子 prologue introductory remarks. Okay. So this is sort of context specific. 抽象概念 blah blah blah. All right. So we're still just making a title, right? 1 second. Right, where were we? I don't know. Let's see. Where's their example though? 一个具体的问题 Yeah. So yeah, my attempt was 担当是人生的精髓 the essence of life. Pretty abstract, but it seems like you could argue for that, right? All right. 阅读下面的材料，根据要求写作。自20世纪50年代起，世界各国不断对月球发起探测活动，展现了人类探索宇宙的勇气与伟力。然而，有人说，随着航天科技的发展，我们将离月球越来越近，但可能会离月球越来越远。What do you reckon that means? So the first one's more literal in the sense of as space travel advances, we become closer to the moon. but it's also further away. Maybe they're talking about how people lose interest in going to the moon after having been there. I'm not sure. 这种担忧带给你怎样的联想？作为新时代青年，你有哪些启示？请就此写一篇文章，要求结合材料，选好角度，确定立意，明确文体，字拟标题。不要套Alright, we know all this. This is the same every time. Oh, so this is the title, is it? 借科技探阅，凭诗意手阅。That's pretty advanced. There's no way I'm coming up with that. Okay, here's a title. 隐喻 metaphor, a metaphorical title. 离月球越来越近，离月球越来越远。This is the metaphor in here. So they're mimicking handwriting here, so presumably this is what the student is meant to do. 深层含义. Yeah, what does it actually mean? Like, sure, I know what the characters and words mean. What's the actual meaning? 离月球越来越近，指科学技术的进步和人类对太空的实际掌控能力增强。离月球越来越远，则可以指对自然的敬畏、缺失，传统文化的示威。Is that 示威? I'm not sure. 想象力的日益匮乏 ，right? 诗意生活的远离，实用主义压倒，浪漫主义等。月亮不只是天文学意义上的星球，还是承载着人类情感、艺术、灵感和哲学思考的文化符号。All right, so this extended meaning. So the first part was pretty obvious. The technological advancement brings us closer to the moon. We can do moon landings and so on. However, the second one, it also makes us further away from the moon. 离月亮. So here, 月亮 represents art, philosophy. I don't know. I feel like it's a very weak metaphor, honestly, but anyway. Maybe it feels more natural to native Chinese ears. Anyway, did we get our title? 提取本质内涵，科技探索与诗意坚守。Like poetry? Are you sure? I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to take home with that. Anyway, part 2. 论题. This is 确定论题的有效方法. Alright, let's see how we go. 对于一篇议论文写作，审题是我们的关键起始步骤。审题的目的便是确定一个准确、清晰的写作方式，即论题。想要得到一个 Do I have to read this? It's just gonna say check. Check it's a good title. OK，想要得到一个明确的论题，我们除了需要把控以上三大原则，还可以采取一些行之有效的方法，如关键词句法，有国素音法、寓意歇释法、求同法、求异法、互补法等等。通常来说，确定论题时需要综合运用多种方法。Alright, whatever. That's not exactly profound. So keyword method. Alright. 从关键词句向外延伸，思考其内涵、意义、时代价值、解决措施等方向，来明确论题。关键词句常常是材料中人物的平易性词句及命题者的提示性语句，如开头句、对话句、结语句等。I don't know. Fancy way of saying keywords and the words at the start and the finish are pretty important. 内涵意义 blah 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 blah. All right, I didn't get anything. I didn't really get any profound meaning out of that. Let's see. Let's continue. 主旨提炼法 Alright. 如果材料没有关键词句提示，可以根据材料内容由表及里，由现象到本质，有个别到一般，概括材料核心主旨。Alright, so go from just from what? From isolated to general, 由表及里. From surface to internal. So from surface level analysis to a deeper level, I guess. That sort of thing. 表里现象本质. So phenomenon to essence. And isolated examples to general state. Yeah. Is this helping me? Maybe I'll skip this. It's just so general. It's not especially useful at that level of generality. Sorry, I'll try to make that. There we go. Alright. 阅读上面的材料，根据要求写作。Alright. 美育是促进美的欣赏、美的感知和美的创造的过程，既是审美教育、情错教育，也是心灵教育。Alright, so 美育 So it's 审美教育, I guess. So this is quite important, but 抓关键词句 fair enough. So we need this in the title. 美育思考美育的内涵、意义等。Alright. 关于美的话题，历来众说纷纭。众说纷纭 this is 成语 It means everyone has diverse opinions, many diverse opinions. 我们每个人也行走在追求美丽人生、建设美丽中国的路上。有物及人 So from object to person. Alright. 美育人追求美丽人生，建设美丽中国。Yeah, All right. So, okay, 以上材料引发了你怎样的联想与思考？请写一篇文章。要求 the same. So this is their title. 以美玉为灯。Oh, I like that. 叫心灵归途。Yeah, I could maybe pull out this first one, this first part. I'm not getting that second part. 叫心灵归途。So return journey according to your 心灵, your soul. Rather poetic. All right. Let's look at some of these other examples. 多则材料作文选题方法。All right. 求同法、求异法、互补法。All right. So you look at the material and think, what's the same, what's the different? 互补法。I'm not entirely sure. Let's have a look. 逐则分析材料的内涵，然后进行比较。I don't know if I care about this. Just identify what's same, what's different. What's the third one then? 几则材料的内涵，既不相同，也不相异。So not the same, nor different. All right. 而是针对某问题各有立场。该问题通常就是论题。All right. Let's give this a read. 阅读下面的材料，根据要求写作。材料一，政防大学毕业季，中国某些高校毕业生，摒弃西方的毕业服。What is this? 摒弃文化自信的表现。All right. 设计出中式毕业服。Okay, so this is some way of saying giving up Western traditions for graduation and going for Chinese style graduation traditional clothing in particular. 以我国传统进士服和状元帽出镜。温文儒雅，高贵与文雅并存。民族的才是世界的，中国风才是世界风。Is this getting a bit patriotic? I don't know. Okay. 习近平 oh, okay. 习近平总书记指出，文化是一个国家、一个民族的灵魂。历史和现实都表明，一个抛弃了或者背叛了自己历史文化的民族，不仅不可能发展起来，而且很可能上演一幕幕历史悲剧。文化自信是更基础、更广泛、更深厚的自信，是更基本、更深沉。深沉 means sunken, right? 更深沉、更持久的力量。Maybe here it means like deep or something. Maybe it's a metaphor. Or permeated. Something in that ballpark. 坚定文化自信是事关 what? 事关 关国运兴衰. Okay, so is this like quoting classical Chinese? 事关文化安全，事关民族精神独立性的大问题。Let me read it again. 坚定文化自信是 ABC 事关国运兴衰，事关文化安全，事关民族精神独立性的大问题。OK， 文化自信的意义 ，cultural confidence. All right. 作为新时代青年，生逢盛世，使命重大，责任艰巨。读了上面的材料，你有怎样的感触和思考？请写一篇文章。All right, so 共同点 we're meant to identify the similarities. 文化自信 yeah, this came up from start to finish. 青年在文化传承中的责任作为。All right, so obviously on the HSK exam, we're not going to get Xi Jinping quotes, but you do get that on the 高考. Right. So what is the point the author wants to make? We're meant to be identifying the commonality in the materials and deriving a title from here. In this case, the main commonality is this. Well, here we're abandoning Western traditions, and we're adopting, or we're being encouraged to adopt Chinese traditions, and we're kind of inspired by the Xi Jinping quote to have like Chinese cultural confidence. All right. I'm trying to understand this as best I can. All right. So the other thing I keep missing with this text is that so the context of this is like Gaokao students. So they're preparing to write their own essay on the Gaokao. And so there's a lot of context there that does not apply to me, right? So yet again, we get this sort of 责任, this 传承, this carrying on traditions. This is the same, all right. 千年文脉is it 放芳华，青春绝笔写新篇。Again, it's youth. So if I write an article about youth or something, it would be very made up. I'm not as young as I used to be, I'm afraid. But you know, it happens. All right. So we're meant to get a title, and this is a title, but that type of title I would never be able to come up with. It's not really my style of writing, even if I could come up with that quality, that like fancy title like that, I probably would choose something clearer. But I feel like, a lot of the Gaokao questions, you want to write to impress, not write to express. You know what I mean? There's a saying in writing, write to express, not to impress. Write to express, not to impress. And the general idea is to convey your meaning clearly as possible. not convince people you know lots of words. However, on exams, sometimes you have to stoop to writing to impress and not to express. Sometimes it's like that. I remember writing research grant proposals, and it's like, well, all right, if you convey your meaning clearly, people will think your research project is too easy. Therefore, you've got to make it sound really hard. You got to make people feel confused or they won't think it's important. You certainly do not want to explain it clearly. They're like, no, I want to explain it clearly. You know what I mean? It's, goes against my personal philosophies. All right, I need to make a coffee, so 1 second. Yeah, I was just thinking. So they were talking about how AI is going to mark these exams, well, the HSK exams in the future. I'm not sure what stage that proposal is at the moment, but it seemed pretty definite that it was going to happen. Precisely when, I don't know. That means, I mean, maybe my exam might be marked with by AI, which means that I might not need to follow like Chinese writing styles as rigorously as I think. At the same time, it probably would behoove me. Is it behoove? Is that the right word? Behoove? I'm going to look it up. Behoove. It would behoove me to behoove. Appropriate or suitable? Yeah, it would behoove me. It would behoove me to learn this sort of thing. Just, I don't know, because there's more to the exam than just the exam, right? I mean, I'm not learning this to pass an exam. I'm taking an exam to actually get good at something. And that's kind of the tool I'm using to get good at it. All right. 综上，确定一个准确清晰的论题是议论文写作的基础与先导，整体把握材料，细化大话题，深入挖掘本质这3大原则，为我们指明方向。关键词句法、主旨提炼法、明确褒贬法、有果素因法、寓意歇释法、求同法、求异法、互补法等方法，则提供具体操作路径。原则与方法结合，方能精准定题，为文章搭建稳固框架，让论述有的放矢。Is that a vector? 放矢 like yeah, so they're using vector as a metaphor, right? To indicate a direction. 放矢 I'll have to handwrite. 放 and then 矢 shoot an arrow. Oh, it's not sorry. 放矢 So it's not vector, but it is the same sort of metaphor. So you want purpose and meaning and cohesion, and we're going that way with our article. And the reader is quite clear on what the article is going to say. Almost so much so that they could just write it themselves once they already know. and you're mostly just writing what they expect. No surprises. All right. 入门第二步提出论点要直接 directness 论点. So we're talking about 论点 now. So this is like points of argumentation, is it? 论点. Oh, we have dots beneath 论点 here, so it must be important. 论点是议论文的灵魂，是作者对某个问题或事物的看法或主张。它是全文的核心，也是作者要论证的观点。在议论文中，论点通常是一个明确、表意清晰的陈述句。一个句 ，it's one sentence。它作为文章的中心思想。统领着全文的内涵和结构。论点可以分为中心论点和分论点，其中中心论点是文章的核心观点。Blah blah. All right. Is there anything important here? I feel like these are just words. Like, Alright, let's just skip that. I don't know. Some of it feels like they just wanted more text in this part of the book, so they wrote. Anyway, 明确文章核心。论点是议论文的核心观点和灵魂，它明确的表达了作者对所论述问题的立场。看法和主张 It's always like this. The rule of three. 如在以科技探索与诗意坚守为论题的作文中，以理性的思维去了解并探索月球的资源和价值，同时 What is that character? 保有对月亮的诗意追求。What is that character? 草宝。Grow luxuriantly. I've never seen that before in my life. 保持. All right, just a second. I'm going to make a note. I was just looking. So, here. So, for those of you who are following, I'm making a corpus of characters that I should learn. Here it is here. 保. So, this is my hint. 永葆青春. What do you reckon that means? 永葆青春. 永葆青春活力. 永葆青春. Is it something like embrace or something? 是汉语固定词组 blah 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 核心意义为长久保持年轻 So long term maintain 年轻 youth. All right. So it's like anti-aging or something, is it? I don't know. I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole. All right. There it is. This is why I learn these rare characters, because they do come up from time to time. So, 同时保有对月亮的诗意追求 So this is long term, 就是长久保持 right? So long term, like sustain the pursuit of I don't know, the more poetic meanings behind 月亮. Yeah, moon moon in China is also carries a lot of figurative meanings that I'm not accustomed to. I didn't realize it was this level of figurativeness, though. Where are we here? 清晰地表明了作者的核心观点，让读者在阅读伊时就能够了解文章的主旨方向。What is 伊时? Is that just a fancy way of saying 开始？伊时 Oh, maybe I'll just handwrite it. It's just faster. 时 Yeah, it's just a fancy way of saying 开始。All right. Okay. 统领文章内容。统领 What is 统领? Unify, maybe. Group together. Declare what is on topic and what's off topic. 论点是文章的纲要，对文章的整体内容起统领作用，起什么什么作用，起统领作用。So maybe it's like unify 统领 kind of like 统一。This one I will not handwrite. 统领 I will probably get that wrong. Command. It was not what I thought. 统领 Okay. So, all right. I still haven't really seen an example. So the Lunti, is Lunti a title, or is it kind of just like some nebulous thing that the reader doesn't see? I'm not, like, it hasn't been clarified, or at least I didn't see it clarified. Where are we? 全文的论证过程包括选取的论据、运用的论证方法等，都要围绕论点展开，为证明论点服务。比如文章论点是互利与共赢是我们前进的动力。那么文中所列举的中国、中亚命运共同体、一带一路、国际合作等事例，都是为了论证这一论点，使文章内容集中，不偏离主题。All right, I think we've spent the last few pages just establishing this is the topic, and don't go off topic. 引导行文思路，论点为文章的写作思路提供了指引，决定了文章的结构和逻辑走向。根据论点的不同，作者可以选择采用并列式递进式或对比式等不同写作模板来展开论述。如论点是坦诚交流，相遇美好。So this is promoting the 坦诚, this forthright honesty kind of thing in communication. 作者就可以按照递进的逻辑，分别论述坦诚交流对个人、社会、国家的积极作用，使文章层次分明，逻辑连贯。All right, so it seems like I should be thinking about this, going from personal, societal, and to national. Very hard. Like, if I was going to put an argumentative piece on the HSK and started becoming like patriotic, I'm not sure how well that would be interpreted. I will have to adapt. All right. And 体现思维能力，论点往往能体现学生对问题的理解和思考深度，反映出学生的逻辑思维、批判性思维等能力。Alright, so logical thought and critical thinking. 一个准确、深刻、全面的论点能够展现学生良好的思维品质，使文章更具说服力和可信度，从而在考试中获得更高的分数。Okay, so when you're a teacher, you have to test certain things on your exam. You're teaching a subject, and you need to design your exam to kind of test that subject as much as possible, to test the topics that your course covers. So this seems to be going even a little bit even further than that, is that don't just answer the question, kind of anticipate what the examiner wants you to demonstrate your skills in, and then just demonstrate that. So not necessarily write the best article, but demonstrate your critical thinking and your logical thinking skills. Yeah, I guess usually they should come together, right? All right. 如何提出中心论点？提出中心论点是一般思路。中心论点是作者看法的完整陈述。表述中心论点的句子是明确的判断句。So, 中心论点. So we're after just the core arguments. Core points of contention, probably. 包括肯定句和否定句。正因为中心论点在议论文中起至重要作用，所以在撰写时，一般要在标题和文章开头就提出它是贯穿全文的主线，指引着论述的方向和重点。Yeah, let's just have a good grasp of the core arguments, core points of argumentation. Nothing kind of unexpected there. Can you see that? All right. 如何确立中心论点? All right. How do we establish core points of argumentation? 综合题干信息提炼中心论点，将审题过程中获取的关键词句、核心概念等信息进行整合，提炼出中心论点。Keywords, core concepts, yeah. 联系生活实际，确立中心论点。So, 实际 is like real in the sense of real life. Is this like personal anecdotes? Maybe. 将题目要求与现实生活相联系。I think it is. I think it's like the student's actual life. 从个人经历 from personal experience. Well, there you go. 社会现场等方面寻找切入点， 确立具体时代感和现实意义的中心论点。All right. So it's like, so you're meant to gather from the original material, you gather together the keywords, etc. The keywords, key concepts. You draw inspiration from your own life and from societal phenomenon and so on. And the third point is 创新思考，提出新颖独到的见解。It's asking for novelty. 在符合题目要求的前提下，勇于提出新颖独到的见解。学中心论点具有独特性和创新性。It's asking for novelty. But I get the feeling, yeah, it's like, I'm not sure if you probably should do that. Like, yeah, compared to the novelty I did in high school. Yeah. Yeah, I think like a lot of students in Western countries will write the most radical articles of all time, and the teachers are probably groaning and cringing or whatnot. Oh, this is the worst thing I've ever read. But it is well written, so good marks. Yeah, in general, the teachers in Australia, they won't mark you down because they disagree with your point of view. They'll mark you down for like lack of clarity and weak argumentation and so on. Yeah, I am not confident that, I don't know, if I expressed an unpopular or minority point of view on the HSK exam, yeah, I'm not confident that I would not lose marks for that. I get the feeling I should specifically choose a point of view that the examiner agrees with. Yeah, at least, yeah, it's generally my experience. I feel like maybe this is an unspoken rule. You learn through experience. 提出中心论点的常见方法。We have some sort of 5-point list. 试题入篇法. All right, so this is like take points from the provided material, is it? 试题入篇法。开门见山法。开门见山 is that 成语 get straight to the point. 引材入篇法. Oh, so this is from the provided materials. 引用入篇法. This is quotes and citations. It's very unlikely you would be able to like give proper citations. I've never actually thought about this. I mean, there's nothing really preventing you from like giving proper citations. like in an academic paper, you would cite someone else's paper. There's nothing preventing you from doing that, aside from like memorizing the citation. Okay, and what is this? 设疑入法. I don't know what 设疑入篇法. 设疑, what is 设疑? Is this to establish doubt? Sure. What's the easiest way to do this? Handwrite. Sure. This one's a little tricky to write, isn't it? All right, we got it. Sure. It's not in the dictionary. 设疑入篇法. I think it's established doubt. Like maybe you're trying to refute something. What do you reckon this 试题入篇法 means? Oh, I It literally says here. All right, so these are the main methods for coming to your 论点。不同方法间并非孤立存在，在写作中可以灵活交叉使用。Yeah, so they're not in isolation, they're overlapping, usually and ideally harmoniously. That is an important point. All right, 视体入篇法. What is 视体入篇法？视体入篇法指作者在文章起始部分对文章的标题或核心概念进行详细解释和深入阐发，从而自然而然地引出并表达中心论点的方法。So they did mention 标题, so this is the literal title of the article. 核心概念 core concepts. Like, go from that to a detailed explanation and thereby naturally extend to an expression of the core points of argumentation. 这种方法有助于读者理解文章讨论的范畴，使论述更具逻辑性和连贯性。Yeah. All right. So the title, you kind of jump in beyond that. So is this an example? No, this is 材料. All right. 材料. So 材料 would imply, in the context of this textbook, that a student would encounter this or something similar to this on a 高考 exam. All right. 高中语文教材必修上册第一单元的原文主题是青春激扬，其中每个诗人的青春吟唱都是时代的回响。毛泽东以天下为己任Pardon me, I need to blow my nose. Right, where were we? Yeah, 毛泽东以天下为己任 I don't know what that means. 郭沫若为新文化运动摇旗呐喊，闻一多甘做红烛献身苦难的中国。All right, this is not something I'm going to need to know for the HSK exam, but all right. 每个青春的故事都是时代的缩影。小通讯员血染的战火青春闪耀着人性光芒。OK， 乡学们用理想与追求谱写改革开放时代的亮丽风景。习近平总书记也寄予全国广大青年，要在推进强国建设、民族复兴伟业中展现青春作为，彰显青春风采，贡献青春力量，奋力 书写为中国式现代化what's that character 挺什么担当的青春篇章 What is that character? I don't recognize it. So here, and then it was here, here, and then yeah at the bottom. Ying. Bear receive. So it was 挺英. Ting, how do you write ting? Something like that. Oh wow, it worked. I just scribbled. Ting, that didn't help. Chengdang, Chengdang. Okay, so this is 传承的意思, is that sort of thing. It's being used like that. All right. So just a second, I'm kind of curious if this is in my list. Ying. So it sounds like it probably won't be in my list of rare characters I'm learning. Sorry, I need to... Wow, this really is a rare character. Here. Oh, there it is. So this is the hint I've used for my notes. Wow. So 荣膺奖项. Where is it? Oh, Google. Here. 荣膺2025年中国银行业天 What's that character? 机天机 What? PHECDA? Is that a word? I cannot pronounce that in English. Fugda. Fugda 奖天机奖歇小中国银行荣膺三项大奖 So this is more like carrying on traditions of some sort of banking, I don't know. Okay, 荣膺可以是在学术研究领域取得突破性成果 All right. So it is kind of used, but here, 荣膺双关王 What's this? 荣膺是汉语动词，意为光荣的获得。So it's not just acquire, it is acquire with 光荣, glory. All right. New character for me. All right, so 中国式现代化挺英担当的青春篇章 All right. This is, yeah, I don't know, pretty intense for me, I'm afraid. There's zero chance I'd be able to actually do this because it contains way too much politics. 作为新时代青年，你认为今天的青年应该书写怎样的青春 So here, 书写 presumably is a metaphor, not literally write what kind of youth, but what should the youth of today do to carry on the kind of spirit of China, something in that ballpark. 请围绕材料内容写一篇文章 and that's the usual. All right. So here's their example. Let's see what it's like. I'll adjust the camera position. All right. 青春软剧丹家国. I've never seen Jaguar before. Isn't it 国家? 去子挥毫写壮江. The article is interpreting writing literally, or at least semi-literally. Write the youth of China. But it implies the youth of China carrying on the torch, the torch of China through writing and literature, etc., etc. So presumably it's emphasizing Chinese traditions and the value of them. Yeah, 什么是青春? Yeah, I've noticed this a lot in Chinese writing, asking yourself a rhetorical question. It's not a popular writing style in English, I think. It's very common in Chinese. I remember, you go to conference talks and they will ask themselves a question and then answer it. So one other thing I want to point out, almost always you do not start a question with 什么. When you start a question with 什么是 blah blah blah. Yeah, you always say 这是什么, you don't say 什么是这, right? When you say 什么是青春, you're going to follow up with expounding on that concept, introducing youth. So 什么是青春, you're going to introduce what your take on what youth is. 青年人应该是什么样子? 我们应该怎样度过我们的青春? 有人迷茫，有人用实际行动给出答案。对毛泽东来说，青春是胸怀天下的壮志。对郭沫若而言, I don't know who that is. Presumably some politician, perhaps related to Mao Zedong. 青春是为新文化运动摇旗呐喊的热神. What is this character? Is it Shen? 热神. Easy to handwrite. Not easy to handwrite. Of course I mess it up. That's what happens. I messed it up again. It's alright. Chen. This does look vaguely familiar. 热忱. Zeal. 热忱. Is it in my list of characters to study? Let's have a look. 热忱. 热忱. Oh, there it is. It's also in the word 热忱. 满腔热情, like full of zeal. So perhaps patriotic zeal, or zeal for the youth of your nation. All right. 对闻一朵来讲. Oh, 闻一朵 that's the name of a person, is it? 青春是甘做红烛的奉献. 对小通讯员而言，青春是战火中闪耀的光芒。对乡学们来说，青春是追逐理想的奋斗。对新时代青年来说，青春是与祖国命运的紧紧相连，是用奋进的姿态书写无愧于时代的青春华章。So it's all about youth, citing the examples for all these people that were quoted, and then giving your own spin on it. I'm not sure how relevant that is. Okay, so I'm preparing for HSK. Here. So this is what it will look like on the HSK. So, 近朱者赤，近墨者黑。So we're talking about the first paragraph, basically, it looks like. So I would need to use this. Probably want to point out how it's a metaphor. I mean, it probably is literally true, but that's almost irrelevant to anything. 这句话的意思, yeah. Yeah, they do give the extended meaning, which I think is fair enough, really. I'm not sure. 请写一篇600字左右的文章，谈谈你对这句话的认识。So this HSK one seems more in line with I don't know, giving your personal opinion. So how can what we just read was a whole bunch of quotes. So am I meant to like copy and paste this? So like if I copied and pasted the character for character, punctuation mark for punctuation mark, this first sentence and the second sentence into my text, and that became my first sentence, my first part, and then just went on from there, would I lose marks for that? I don't know. Not obvious to me. But I would need to somehow segue from that into the remainder of the article. And how would I go about doing that? Yeah, so maybe that's what I should be practicing. So that to do what I want to do, or what I should do, I will need to come up with some sort of point of argumentation, some concrete, tangible, I'm going to argue this, from using this as inspiration. Maybe I could use this kind of asking yourself a rhetorical question style thing. Or yeah, 这句话不无道理 is not without its justification. So should I try to prove it true, or should I try to disprove it? I think, like, if it was me, I would be much more neutral, emphasizing, sure, it is somewhat true that there are influences in your life, particularly people. If you want to take the particularly narrow point of view, the idea that there are good people and bad people, then they can influence you in good and bad ways. Yes. Sometimes you're in the position to distance yourself from bad people. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're able to surround yourself by good people. Yeah, I don't think we're meant to interpret it so literally as 好人,坏人. Or at least, sure, but I would be more interested in talking about how the people around you influence you. All right. So I'm 绞尽脑汁 here. Okay. So we're now getting to at least something that's somewhat more, feels more actionable. So I'd want to write something in this ballpark, but yeah, how many characters do you reckon that is? It's probably like 150, I'm guessing. Probably about 20 per line. 9 lines? Maybe it's closer to 200. Oh, this is not a line. 8 lines. Yeah, my guess is probably not bad. 150? Yeah, so all right. So it seems I must use that quote, and it seems I must give an interpretation of the quote. I don't know. I don't think I can bring myself to the point where I will copy and paste from the materials. I don't think I could do that. It feels wrong. Even if it gets you better marks, it still feels wrong. All right. Let's continue. So that was the first method, 试题入篇. Ah, 试题. So this is more like an explanation. So we're starting off with a question. We start off with an explanation, and then we come to, at the end of the paragraph, we say, this is our point of view. We have seamlessly weaved it into our narrative. All right. What does this say? I can barely read that. If I put it on the screen, it's bigger. 解释文体，引出论点。文章开篇连用3个设问句，随即对青春的看法进行解释。通过阐述毛泽东、郭沫若等人对青春的理解，引出新时代青年对待青春的态度。对待 Does 对待 have a meaning I don't realize? 自然引出中心论点。对待。Yeah, so I'm used to this one. 对待客人，对待顾客，对待工作。So, oh, what's this one? 正确对待群众的批评。All right. And what is 对待 here? What does that mean here? Where were we? 对待青春的态度。对待青春 Is it not just 对青春的态度? I'm not sure. I presume someone who's writing a text like this has some pretty advanced language skills. So, yeah, I would be much too hasty to say there's something wrong there. There's probably some sort of gap in my knowledge. 开门见山法，开门见山法就是开篇直接提出中心论点，直入主题。它的优点是重点突出，直宰了当。Is it 宰? It doesn't matter. Just get to the point. There's like 10 different ways of saying get to the point. All right, let's have a look at this straight to the point. Okay, so this is the prompt you would get on the goal card. Let's have a look. 在字典中，担当是一个动词，意思是接受并负其责任。接受并负其责任。 意在强调行动的重要性。Oh, that's a good sentence. 担当更是一种高尚的品质。根植 root plant 根植在人们的心灵中，在人生的路程中，我们总会遇到关系到关系到自己家庭、社会、国家的一些事情，是懦弱的回避逃离，还是勇敢的站出来担当这份责任Yeah, the grammar here is a bit weird, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but it feels very weird to me. 我们这个 Yeah, it feels like we should have a question word. 是还是我们是这个还是 Oh no, it still works because the subject 我们 carries on to here. I think why I think it's weird is because we have this like declarative sentence, X is true, joined together with a question, is X true? Is Y true? And they're kind of in the same thing, in the same sentence, sharing the same subject. I'm kind of curious if that's legit. All right. So I feel like I could actually do this. If I was taking the goal call and you asked me to write 800 character essay and I wasn't tired, blah, 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 and I could consult the dictionary and so on, I could probably do that. Like with this prompt, there's no wacky quotes or anything I need to remember. There's nothing too exciting here. 读了以上材料，你有何感受与思考？请以担当为主题，写一篇文章，体现你的感受与思考。要求 they just repeat that every single time. So this is like blah, 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 blah. 高考要求。All right, let's have a look at their example. Sorry, it's a bit hard to show everything all at once, but also make it large enough. The larger I make the font, the harder it is to get it on the camera. 以担当之笔，书时代答卷 right? 人生自古谁无死？留取丹心照汗青。That ain't gonna happen. If I was writing it, this is not gonna happen. I'm not gonna be able to quote classical literature. 担当逗号 Really? 是绣刻在中华民族血脉中的精神基因。All right. It became a bit, I don't know, patriotic again. 是个人成长，是个人成长，社会和谐，国家兴盛之源。Oh, that is pretty powerful, isn't it? 是 XYZ 之源。But you see the writing style. 是 blah 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 之源，是 4 characters. First example. 4 characters. Second example. 4 characters. Third example. And each of those 4 character examples. 个人成长，社会和谐， 国家兴盛. They all follow the same parts of speech. It's very resonating. And that really takes a lot of experience, and you also need a fair amount of fairly formidable vocabulary to be able to do that and recognize which parts of speech all these words belong to. 在时代的浪潮中，我们每个人都应勇挑重任，勇挑重担。Yeah, so brave to take on heavy burdens. 以担当为比，在民族复兴的征程中，书写人生答卷。All right. Yeah, I really like this particular phrasing. It's something I could plausibly use in my own writing. Is it an actual Gaokao question? Maybe. Some Gaokao questions are perfectly doable, but when they get into the politics and so on, that's yeah, beyond anything I could do. So I'll try and move that over there and zoom in as much as possible, because the font is really, really tiny. Like there's my finger for scale. I don't think I have the most gigantic fingers in the world, but you know, I need a banana for scale. 文章开篇首先引用诗句. So it's poetry. Maybe I should memorize like a handful of lines of poetry to quote on my HSK exam. 以一种激昂的语调引出担当这一论题，接着直接指出担当是中华民族精神基因的 Yeah, so 基因 is gene, but it's used figuratively, right? 第一部分是个人、社会、国家发展的重要因素，为下文写作章本。最后，明确提出中心论点，有是什么、为什么、转向、怎么做，深化论述。So 是什么？为什么？什么做？怎么做？ Let's have a look at here again. 是什么？担当是什么？担当是 blah blah blah. It's not really a definition, though, is it? It's like saying the sun is yellow, white. The sky is blue. It's not a definition of the sky, is it? 是什么? Yeah, it's not really 是什么, but at the same time, you don't really need a dictionary definition of random words. 为什么? Why? Why is it important? Where's the 为什么? This is the 为什么, right? 个人成长，社会和谐，国家兴盛. So personal development, societal harmony, and the national prosperity. It's the source of it. So that makes sense. There is a 为什么. 怎么做? And how do you achieve this? 我们每个人都应 we should, so everyone should take on heavy burdens. I don't know. 以担当为比. So is this entirely figurative? Like if taking on burdens were a pen, 在民族复兴的征程中，书写这个人生答卷。 Yeah, it's a bit figurative. 怎么做? Take the pen of burden and write your answer. I don't know. So there's some things I can use here, but some things that are kind of are just not going to happen in the near future. There's no way I can improve my writing to that level without memorizing poetry and yeah. How are we doing? Yeah, the video is a little long already, isn't it? Are we learning? You know, maybe I should actually do this one. I can do it. I get a husky voice, a hoarse voice, I get a bit hoarse from talking too long. So maybe I will actually do this and then think about what else to do in the future. Maybe this will be part one. Yeah, there's lots of examples there. So I want to it'd be good to get through the steps and ideally identify the main points here. There's 4. There's a lot of pages. All right. We'll call it a part 1 then. Maybe I'll actually do this though. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you all for watching my video. I'm not sure if anyone watches me study textbooks for 2.5 hours. I'm probably 0, but if anyone is following in my footsteps and thinking, oh, how should I study for the HSK7-9 exam when there's no actual study materials, maybe you can watch this video and make a judgment call as to how useful you think this random book I bought from Jingdong is. Intended for the Gaokao, or at least for Gaozhong students, high school students. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I'm getting a little tired. We'll call it a video. I will see you in the next video. TTFN.